Second of all, there are tons of ayat, not one or two ayat. There are literally dozens of ayat on the concept of al-musibah. Al-musibah, and I'll describe what that is. I think Urdu speakers here assume they know what it means. Musibah is like a calamity or a terrible thing that happens. وفي العربية المعاصرة أيضا نستعملها في هذه المعاني. We use the word in the similar meaning in Arabic. يعني هذه مصيبة, this is a big disaster. This is a calamity. But in Old Arabic, actually, let's start with the definition of this word. Musibah comes from the Arabic verb asaba. And asaba is to hit a target. When you hit the target perfectly, then that hitting of the target and hitting exactly where it was supposed to hit is called sawab, which is why another word for correct in Arabic is sawab, sahih, right? So hitting the correct target is the act of isaba. Now the word musibah is something that hits you and hit you exactly where it was supposed to hit you. So the first thing we learn from Allah Azza wa Jal using this term to describe what happens to us. It's a karitha, it's a haditha, it is a waqi'ah, it is something bad that happened, something terrible that happened, su happened. Allah doesn't use those terms. Most of the time He uses the term al-musibah. Why? Because Allah is describing that as far as His qadr is concerned, as far as His planning is concerned, this was like an arrow that was shot and it was supposed to hit you exactly when and where and how deep and how badly, it was all decided. It is perfect hit. Perfect hit. Then the ta marbuta also at the end of this word, we don't say musib, we say musibah. By adding a ta marbuta, it adds the concept of al-hadath, meaning every single issue, every single thing. You know how you think, well, first thing that happened was my transmission went bad. Then the next thing that happened as a result was I was late to the meeting. Then the next thing as a result of being late to the meeting, I lost my job. Then as a result, I got divorced. Then as a result, then as a result, then as a result. There was a brother I met not too long ago who had some issue with his passport, and as a result of his issue, he lost his passport. As a result of that, he lost his job. And as a result of that, he got into arguments with his wife, and he blames the passport company, or the people that were applied for his visa. They cost me my marriage, they cost me my job, they cost me everything. So they tie all of these strings together, cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. All of it is because of this one thing. And we do this too. But Allah Azza wa Jalla is calling each and every difficulty individual. They are not a result of each other, they are a result of Allah's allowance. Allah Azza wa Jalla allows every single one of those events to happen. There are people who go through exactly the same situation as you, but the same things don't happen. That chain of events doesn't happen. Allah decrees something else for them. So that's the first thing to note about the word musibah. It is specific, it is targeted to you. The two ayat, of the dozens of ayat, the two ayat that we should never ever forget about the word musibah. Allah Azza wa Jal first of all says in these ayat that I recited to you in Baqarah, He says, وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Congratulate the people who have sabr. What strange language Allah Azza wa Jal uses. When you and I have a difficulty, we're supposed to have sabr. You don't have sabr when you're happy. You're supposed to have sabr when you're upset, when something is wrong, when something goes badly. You were supposed to graduate, it got delayed, you didn't pass a class. You're supposed to have a little bit of sabr. You got sick, you're supposed to have sabr. Some bad thing happened and you're supposed to have sabr. Now you tell me, you and I, when we speak to each other and somebody is in a situation when they're supposed to have sabr, like you're in a situation or I'm in a situation where the advice is I should have sabr. You don't go to that person and say congratulations. You know, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Akhi, I feel terrible about what happened. I pray Allah gives you sabr. You don't smile at them, you don't congratulate them. Now when do you congratulate someone? You congratulate someone when there's a happy occasion, when things went according to plan. You applied for the job and the job came through and you got the job. You applied for a raise and you got a raise. You were looking to get married and the thing is settled. When things work out, then you congratulate each other. Look at the language of Allah Azza wa Jal. He says, وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Congratulate the people who have sabr. Subhanallah. Why? Because of the belief, for a believer, the attitude is entirely different. Maybe the whole ordeal, the entire trouble you are going through, the goal of it all was one thing, so you could have sabr. Because if you can have sabr, you are worthy of congratulations. We think the goal was this thing you were going to get in dunya. Maybe I thought the goal was to get the job. Maybe I thought the goal was to make the sale. But maybe to Allah, the real goal is you were going to learn sabr. That's a bigger goal than anything else. Subhanallah. And if you got that goal, you should be congratulated. So we have goals in our head. that we think we want to accomplish. We have things in our heart we want to accomplish. And Allah says there is something much more valuable in your heart. If you accomplish that, you don't even realize what it's worth. And I will tell you what it's worth congratulations. And then, right after this congratulations, Allah Azza wa Jalla says, الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Who should you congratulate? These patient people who whenever a specific target calamity, difficulty hits them, the first thing that comes out of their mouth, قَالُوا, not even فَقَالُوا, not even ثُمَّ قَالُوا. No. Not then they say. If this happens, or when this happens, then they say. There's a when and there's a then. There's not even time for a then in the ayah. There's not even a فَقَالُوا. It's not there. Why not? Because it's supposed to be an immediate response. You know how you have in physics, or even in medicine, in biology, you're supposed to have action and reaction, right? And for a doctor that checks your physical reactions, they'll tap your knee and the leg kicks up a little bit, right? They check for these reflexes. This ayah is teaching us that when difficulty comes to you, and when difficulty comes to me, there's supposed to be a reflex. And in a reflex, you don't delay, it just happens. It just comes out. And what comes out? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. No doubt about it, we belong to Allah. No doubt about it, we belong to Allah. Wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And no doubt about it, we are only going to be returned to Him. Meaning we are going to be returned to our owner. Why is this statement important when something difficult happens? We have to think about the hikmah of why when the difficult thing comes, why do we say inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un? When you hear about some bad news on the phone, why is it the first time, the moment you say inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, first of all understand that if you do that, there's a real gift in it for you. In the Quran, there's a gift in it for you. First I want to share this gift with you. You know what that gift is? In this ayah, Allah Azza wa Jal, in the ayah before, when I told you He commanded to congratulate the believers, Al-Amr fil Mufrad, La wabashiru as-sabirin, Qal wabashir as-sabirin fil Mufrad. It's singular. Congratulate the ones who have sabr. And that congratulations is singular. When Allah commands in the singular, it is actually a direct direct command to Nabiullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Meaning Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam from his mouth is supposed to congratulate those who have sabr. And Allah Azza wa Jal now, and by the way, after this ayah, whoever says inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, may Allah make us of them when we are standing on Yawm al-Qiyamah, maybe we be among them who the Rasul of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam congratulates. Because this ayah is about the Rasul congratulating anybody who does this, alayhi salatu wassalam. And we want to earn his congratulations. You know, when your family says congratulations to you, it means one thing. When the principal of the school congratulates you, it's something else. When the dean of the school congratulates you at the inaugural ceremony, it's something else. When Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam will congratulate as-sabirin, and Allah has commanded him to do so, then we want to be from these people. That's the gift in this ayah. Now let's go back to inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Let's give some examples. I know some of your problems may be much bigger than what I can give in my limited imagination. So you have to think about yourself as I give these examples. So I'm driving and I just got a new car, I'm driving and I had some car trouble and it just stalled and it's pulled over to the side. Now I'm angry, I paid good money for this car. How could this happen? I'm missing so much work. Stuck here in the middle of the heat, the heater's not, the AC's not even working and it's sunny and all of this stuff. I'm thinking all of this stuff. First thing I think to myself, as a believer, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Why? Because I remind myself, I'm angry at this car because I own it. I own it. I am the owner. But I'm reminding myself, actually, I own nothing. I myself am owned. Allah owns me. I no doubt belong to Allah. How can I complain about anything? Because I'm not an owner of anything. You see, people get mad when they're entitled. When it was your turn, you deserved it. When it was your phone, your phone's not working, your car's not working, the lights aren't turning on. When you deserve something, then you get angry when you don't get it. But in the ayah, inna lillah, you first acknowledge, I deserve nothing. I belong to Allah. Allah deserves, I don't deserve. It puts things at ease. Everything you get in this life is then a gift. It's not something you earned, it's a gift. So when you don't have it, then you realize, well, it wasn't mine anyway. It wasn't mine anyway. We take our hands for granted, we take our eyes for granted, we take our nose for granted, we take our tongue for granted. The fact that I'm standing here speaking before you, I take the fact that I can speak to you for granted. But this tongue, it doesn't belong to me. I didn't pay for it. It belongs to Allah. So when it starts stuttering, inna lillah. Inna lillah. And the second part of this problem, how Allah gives solutions in our faith. The wisdom of the statements Allah gave us when difficulty comes. The second statement is, وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. No doubt about it, to Him alone we're going to be returning. Why is that important? Because whatever problem you're having right now isn't permanent. Whatever problem you're having isn't permanent. Whether it's money problems or health problems or family problems, or it's emotional problems or physical problems, it doesn't matter. None of them are permanent. You know why? Because you and I are not permanent. Even you and I aren't permanent. How can our problems be permanent? We have to be returned to Allah ourselves. This problem is nothing. Forget this problem. I will leave. Not only will this problem not be around, I won't be around. I will be returned back to Allah. Things are put in perspective. Putting things in perspective makes you worry about what really matters. When you don't put things in perspective, you can focus on the wrong thing. My teacher used to always give the example, if you're standing in a building and the building is on fire, and you're in that building, and you're debating which color should we paint this wall. I think blue goes better with the gray. Guy, the building's on fire. You need some water first. Take the fire out, get out of the building. There are priorities, you understand? When you understand the bigger picture, there's a larger problem, and the larger problem is we haven't acknowledged that we belong to Allah. Maybe sometimes you and I go through difficulty just so Allah can put it back in your heart that you and I belong to Allah. Maybe you and I are going through some challenges just so Allah would give us the gift that we would be able to not just say with our tongue, but say with our heart, Inna ilayhi raji'un. That's a gift in and of itself. And that is, if we can internalize that, that makes sabr easy. And if you and I can have sabr, Allahumma ja'alna min as-sabirin. If we can have sabr, then the congratulations of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam is for us. In the few minutes that I have left with you, I wanted to address, so this was at least one of the two ayat that I wanted to talk to you about our attitude towards the musibah. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. But in these last few minutes, I want to highlight something else. About musibah, about calamity and about difficulty, about challenges that happen in life. And that is, in the Quran, there are two kinds of ayat. In one set of ayat, Allah Azza wa Jal says, whatever happens to you, ma asaba min musibatin, fil ardi wala fis sama, illa fi kitabin min qabli an nabra'aha, fi Surah Al-Hadid. There is not a single calamity that ever happens anywhere to anyone. There isn't one in existence. Rather, even on the earth or in the sky, it doesn't matter where it happens, it is already recorded in a book that we've decreed. Meaning it's from the qadr of Allah, it was supposed to happen. You don't get to say about somebody who died at a young age, oh, he had his whole life ahead of him. He didn't. There's no such thing. It was done, it was decreed. This is how long his journey was on this earth. My journey on this earth is decreed. Yours is decreed. When you go to the graveyard, you find some people lived, or they were born 1901, died 2013. And you go to the graveyard, you find somebody born 2013, died 2013. You find those graves too. You know? And this is decreed by Allah. It is decided how long each of us will stay on this earth. It is decided. You don't get to say, oh, if he was still alive today. No. It's decreed. It's laid down. The other thing Allah Azza wa Jalla says, مَا أَصَابَ مِن مُصِيبَةٍ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. No difficulty, no calamity, no target will strike you except by Allah's permission. By Allah's permission. And look at the people of Iman. They say such a beautiful thing. قُلْ لَن يُصِيبَنَا إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا وَلَمْ يَقُولُوا عَلَيْنَا. It's incredible. The believers are told, no difficulty will hit us except for what Allah has written for us. They could have said what Allah has written against us. Because when you talk about difficulty, you think in the terms of against. This difficulty is hitting against me. The ayah says, مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا, for us. Huwa maulana. Huwa maulana. Subhanallah. Allah Azza wa Jal teaches the believers that even when difficulties come, it is written not against us, but it is written for us. In the ayah, it is written for us, and that is the attitude of a believer in regards to difficulty even, it is for him. But now finally, there are ayat in the Quran, not one, several, in which whatever happens to you, فَأَصَابَهُمْ سَيِّئَاتْ مَا عَمِلُوا, what hit them was the evil of what they did. فَمَا أَصَابَكُم مِّن مُّصِيبَةٍ فَبِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِيكُمْ وَيَعْفُو عَنْ كَثِيرٍ. Whatever you did, whatever challenge hit you, whatever difficulty hit you, it is because of what you did. Allah says it's your fault. When difficulty happened to you in some ayat, Allah says it's not just because of Allah. Allah decided it's because of you. It's your fault. And He's forgiving Allah. Now how do we reconcile those two? Is it because of Allah or is it because it's your fault? First thing of advice here, number one, Allah never says قُل. قُل, say it's your fault. Except in one place in Ali Imran, قُلْ هُوَ مِنْ عِنْدِ أَنفُسِكُمْ. In other words, we are not supposed to say to someone, this is happening to you because it's your fault. You know why you got diagnosed with cancer? Because you don't pray 5 times a day. That's why you have cancer. You don't get to say that. You don't get to say that. And on the other hand, in the battle of Uhud, the Rasul was told, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tell them it's your fault. When they say, how come this happened? When the believers say, how come this happened? Tell them this is because of you. In other words, in the specific case of Uhud, what happened? The believers were winning. They were winning. And they were at an advantageous position and the enemy was running. Then some of the archers left their position. And when they left their position, the tide of battle turned, everything happened. And now you don't get to blame Allah, you left a strategic position. You have to take responsibility for your actions. What we are learning in that ayah is you don't get to put everything on Allah. You were driving over the speed limit, you got in a car accident, and then you say Allah decreed that I should, مَا أَصَابَ مِن مُّصِيبَةٍ فَبِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. No. You were speeding. You were driving like a maniac. This is min indi anfusikum. This is because of what you did. You put, you're supposed to get an oil change. You put ghee inside your car or something. And your car is not running. And then you say, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. What can we do? فَإِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ. No. This is huwa min indi anfusikum. You have to take responsibility. You can't just put everything on Allah. You're not applying for a job. You're sitting at home all day. No job is coming to you. Allah is not sending an angel with an offer letter to your house. And you're like, Allah Azza wa Jalla, when He decides, until then, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. No. There's this balance in the Quran. When things happen to you that are out of your control. When things happen to you that are out of your control, they are from Allah. A flood is out of your control. Somebody else's car hit you, that's out of your control. You got diagnosed with a genetic disorder, some kind of disease, that was out of your control. But if that same disease came to you because you're smoking 4 packs a day, and if your doctor keeps telling you you're heading towards diabetes and you put a little bit of tea in your sugar, you're that kind of guy, then you don't get to blame Allah. This is min indi anfusikum. The Quran is such a balanced approach to this problem. The believer has to understand how to take responsibility. How to take responsibility. But in either of those cases, whatever came to you, unless it is death, it is a gift from Allah so you can learn your lesson and move on and do better. There are people who lose their job. And there's only 2 kinds of people who lose their job. Either they blame themselves or they blame Allah. Right? And sometimes it's because of economic cuts or whatever. But if you're coming to work late every single day, you're not finishing your work. You're behind in communications. There are 30 emails every day, you don't answer them. And then you get fired. Don't blame Allah. You were supposed to get fired. And when you get fired, that is a gift from Allah, because the next time you do get a job, you're not going to make the same mistakes. You learn from it. Sometimes these difficulties, they make us better human beings. They make us better believers. They make us stronger as people. They make us more responsible. So I pray that Allah Azza wa Jal, first and foremost, just as a recap of everything in these 2 minutes, recap of everything. First of all, the first thing when difficulty happens, train your tongue, train your heart. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. That's number 1. Number 2, don't say to other people that something is happening to them because of Allah. Don't say this to people. Do not say this to people. If you want to say that to people, before you think of anyone else, think about yourself. You don't get to decide something happened from the ghaib, something happened from Allah, and you don't get to decide why did Allah do this, that He didn't offer His explanation to you. You don't have that license. And when it comes to ourselves, we have to make the distinction between things that are out of our hands, you can't control them, then we say inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And the things that are within our control, we have to take our own responsibility. We have to acknowledge the fact that we were the ones who messed up. We were the ones who should have done better. This is as a result of our own misbehavior. May Allah Azza wa Jal make us responsible believers, especially in the things we say. May Allah Azza wa Jal include us among those who are congratulated by His Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.